Good morning here from New York. Welcome to the 36th episode of Overdose and Chill. We are here with Dov Kaufmann from Tolstoy. Good evening to you, I guess, Dov.
Good evening and happy holidays from Israel.
Thanks very much. Happy holidays to you. Thanks for joining us today. For folks who are joining across LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube, please, if you have any questions or comments, drop them in the chat and we will get to them as they come in as relevant. So thanks again. So, Mr. Kaufmann, where are you calling in from today?
So I'm in Tel Aviv, in a little neighborhood called Neve Tzedek. Excited to be here.
And it is now 6 p.m. for you on this Purim holiday weekend.
That's right.
Appreciate you taking the time to join us. I absolutely want to get into Tolstoy. It is such a cool tech, and actually we're going to be showcasing on some screen share some of the tech, which is the first time I'll be doing this on an Overdose and Chill. We tend to stay with sort of the conversation piece, but this one's real compelling, so we're going to get into it. But before we get there, let's dig in a little bit on you, if you don't mind. Can you tell us a little bit about? I think we first met probably 5 years ago now. I had been here, with Media Spa before we joined Overdose for a few months and was out at, I believe, IRCE in Chicago. And randomly on one of the after event happy hours that I think it was Haymaker, bumped into you, and I knew very little about the space. I was just getting into partnerships, and learned a little bit about Yotpo, and from there, we've now grown that relationship and followed you sort of in your career path. So, what's your story, man?
Yeah. So first of all, my guilty pleasure is conferences. I love conferences, and I love meeting new people there. So I remember meeting you, hitting it off right away, and it's been amazing seeing kind of the growth of your career as well. It's fun having, now that it's been a lot of years, so there are a few people that I've kind of stayed in touch with along the way. It's awesome. So yeah, I joined Yotpo 8 years ago. I was employee number 9 or 10. Started in support, and then quickly moved into managing the events, and then managing business development and starting up the partner team, which is now responsible for a ridiculous amount of revenue and an incredible team led by incredible people.
Can I ask, is that when your current LinkedIn profile pic, is that from that era? You were bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and now you're the grizzled veteran from e-commerce?
Exactly. Now I'm more chill, but yeah, that's it's an amazing team. I'm still very, very close with all of them, and Yotpo is actually one of our earliest customers at Tolstoy, so it feels like I've never left. Yeah. Cool.
And then so walk us through. I know you went on this new adventure back in 2020 and went over to this company called Tolstoy.
Yeah. So in my time at Yotpo, I had to scale up a people-heavy organization. You're familiar with this problem. I think all agencies are. It becomes very, very difficult to manage at scale, and a lot of things, especially in a SaaS company, end up being very repetitive, having the same conversations with partners. And so I've been thinking for years whether there was a way to give the benefit of face-to-face communication, but to provide it in a self-service asynchronous platform. And that's what we're creating at Tolstoy, basically a next generation communication platform that's done all asynchronously on top of interactive video, so that brands and companies can have authentic face-to-face conversations with their leads and customers without having to maintain and manage an army of sales reps, basically. So the idea came about from pains that I had experienced at Yotpo, but after launching, I think actually with you might have been one of the earliest conversations I had about thinking whether there was an e-commerce use case for this as well. We actually built the tool originally for SaaS businesses.
Yeah, I remember you pinged me back in, I think, September or October, and we're like, hey, doing this new thing, would love to connect and chat about it. And we hopped on a call, and I think we intended to chat for a few minutes about, I think at the time was, as you're noting, was a use case for business development and sales ostensibly, right? For agencies and techs and to grow that piece of it. And that conversation quickly evolved into I was super excited, and I think we ended up talking for like an hour about all the different use cases of the technology, and that's really what got us on board.
Yeah. So thank you, by the way, because I think you were the person who kind of gave me the idea to explore e-commerce use case, and that's taken off. And we've seen since like a few different verticals that have kind of taken off with this technology, because really what we built is a new way to communicate asynchronously on top of pre-recorded videos, which I think, like you said, maybe we'll show a couple of examples either later or at some point. And so that's the evolution of what we're doing.
So how did, if at all, did the COVID pandemic play into sort of what you were looking to do? When you talk about folks being remote and not being able to have that face-to-face engagement, whether it's sales, in-person sales meeting, or as we talked about in the e-commerce world, folks not being able to go to a brick and mortar store and engage with their regular sales rep.
Yeah, so that's a great question. I think COVID did a few things. One is it made people a lot more comfortable interacting over video. So I think pre-COVID, so I've been kind of like dealing with this idea in my head, trying to figure out the right way to launch it for a few years. And I think when I was talking to people before COVID, the main question was, hey, people don't want to talk to other people over video, right? They want the personal connection. They want the conferences. They want all of that stuff. And COVID just made that point moot. So the main thing it did, it made it really easy for us to sell the product, both the brands that are buying this and implementing this, and the consumers. We see like insane engagement with the tool, and I think part of that is COVID and just people being like really, really comfortable interacting authentically, kind of in a chill way over video. The other thing it did was make it so. I think it pushed us over the line to actually jump and do this thing because the pain point just became a lot more material, and we realized that this was the time to do it. So those were the two things that it did.
Yeah, I remember. I think it was at that same IRCE and walking the floor. We chatted with a few folks who were doing live video customer service, and this was 2 years ago now. And at the time, we're like, this is really cool, but it's also really freaky and it's kind of terrifying. People have gotten used to shopping online in their pajamas or their underwear. In states they wouldn't necessarily want to engage in live video, and understanding that many of these texts are one-way video where you can see them, they can't see you, kind of thing. It was still a little bit. It felt intrusive, more intrusive than people maybe were ready to engage with online. So while it was great, I think it was a little early for at least where we play in the market. That's been turned on its head, right? People now have no qualms for the most part about being on live video from home because that's the world in which we live. So certainly, I think that also is one of the things that made me even more excited about the tech. So I want to get into it and sort of chat through use cases and sort of how you're seeing folks leverage Tolstoy. And sort of what the future holds for it. But maybe before we get into that, we could show some folks at home what in fact this platform does and what it offers.
Let's do it. So I'll share my screen.
All right, I'll apologize in advance on the production side of this if there are a couple of hiccups as I move to sharing the screen across this. So give me 1 sec. We will remove that. We will add this. Maybe let's see if it's better to do just full video or us sharing. But why don't you take it away and walk us through what in fact this tech does?
Sounds great. Do you see my screen?
I can indeed.
Okay, so maybe I'll turn off my WhatsApp. Okay, so this is a Tolstoy that's actually not live yet, but I think it's super cool, so I'm going to show it. It's going live next week. This is a skincare product line called Macari. And they created a video quiz using Tolstoy to not only ask questions, but also showcase the products and do a little bit of selling as well. So I'll play it and you'll see what I mean.
Hey there, beautiful. Welcome to Macari. Join me in this short video quiz and I'll be able to help you find which Macari products are best for your skin type. I'll also provide a 15% discount off your purchase just for taking the quiz.
Okay, so now I'm going to press start and answer a series of questions. So in this case, also, Macari is using this as a lead collection tool. They're going to be launching this directly on the homepage. So they collect my email.
And that module, sorry, pause for a sec, Dov, if you can. That module lives in Tolstoy?
Exactly. It's native to Tolstoy, and you can customize it however you want. You can ask whichever questions you want in the lead form.
Cool.
Yeah. Okay, so let's say I have oily skin.
Next, what is your top skin concern?
I don't want to get old.
Great. Thank you so much for filling out that information. Now, before we start, let me tell you a little bit about Macari. For over 20 years, Macari has been helping women of color address their skin needs. We have products that help with everything from hyperpigmentation, dark spots, cellulite, wrinkles.
Okay, and then it continues and it pitches me a little bit, and based on the few questions that I answered, it will filter a list of products and send me to the product page. We have brands doing other things like sending you directly to the checkout page with the products already in there, asking deeper questions and sending you not to PDP, but actually to specific product pages. And then we also have brands who are using this not as a quiz, but actually just to introduce.
Hey, Dov, you can click hide on the panel at the bottom of your screen. It says,
this one?
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, cool. So this is level 1620. They sell smell-proof bags and accessories, and they had a problem with a few things. One, they have totally different product lines, and people are often not interested in the same ones, and so they wanted a way to really quickly navigate them to the right place, but also sell them. The product is a little hard to explain because it's smell-proof. What does that mean? What is it used for? And so they created a Tolstoy as kind of like an about us and a product selector.
Hey, thanks for stopping.
No, so before we get into it, so what this allows a brand to do is really have sort of a brand ambassador and give more of a branded feeling around on-site messaging outside of pop-ups and outside of FAQs, and does some sort of allows for guided selling, right? Do sort of an upfront quiz if you want, or we'll go to this one and we'll talk about it after. Sorry, man.
Yeah, no, but I think actually what you're saying is super interesting, because the way I generally talk about it is like you have a personal shopper, but I think the brand ambassador is where we're thinking of taking Tolstoy more, because it enables you to not only have someone from the site on the site talking about your products and selling them, but potentially also like influencers doing these and different really brand ambassadors. So I think the point was super salient.
Well, it's funny. We have our tech director in North America, this guy Dan Goodfriend, who's hilarious and great. He used to always talk about how people who shop online are stupid and lazy, and that goes for all of us. We don't want to think, we don't want to read, we just want to have the path of least resistance from arriving on a site to getting to the end result, which is what we want out of that experience. So to take all that copy that is generally pretty cumbersome to read through, like FAQs, for example, and make it into an engaging, interactive, video is just it's a better experience. But let's see what you got.
Cool.
Bye. I'm Tali from Level 1620. Let me show you what makes our products so freaking awesome. And in return, I'll give you a major discount.
Okay,
so which one do you want to hear about first? Fanny packs, backpacks, crossbody bags, clutches?
And add a little bit of humor. Let's see. I want backpacks.
Our backpacks have a smell-proof compartment, like any kind of smell. Like this flower, for instance. Our backpacks also have a laptop compartment with a modern design for everyday use. 2 of our backpacks feature original artwork by the talented artist Nina Barnatan.
Okay, now they wanted to actually go a little bit deeper. They had a really difficult time explaining like what's different about these bags than other bags. And so they added a section here, kind of like you were talking about the FAQ, like how do the bags actually work? And then I can see it in video, but it's all part of the same experience, right? It's not segmented, and the brand gets to know about me if they want to collect my email, which I think they do when I click redeem my discount. Yeah.
Before you get into it, I grew up, and I'm dating myself, I grew up in the 80s. So one of the really cool things about growing up in the 80s, at least here in North America, was this rollout across books of what was called Choose Your Own Adventure, right? Mm-hmm. Where you could and you get to the end of a chapter and says, what do you want to do? Do you want to enter the cave, or do you want to go on the lake or whatever? And then from there, you really get to drive the storyline. And this sort of reminds me of that. I know, and I always forget the name of it, but anyone who watches Black Mirror back, was it 2019 now?
I think Bandersnatch you're talking about.
Bandersnatch, it was like a choose your own adventure movie where, when you came up to a decision node, the decisions would pre-populate a few seconds before it. So it ended up being a very seamless transition and cutover from the end of that segment to the start of the next one. And this is what sort of what it felt like the first time I went through Tolstoy.
Totally. And Netflix is interesting. They actually have, I think someone told me they have a whole department of experts in interactive video, and they do a lot of children programming that's interactive. Yeah. It's just more engaging. And
I think it speaks more to my mindset than it does to child mindset.
The other thing that interactive video can do that Netflix doesn't do, at least thankfully not yet, is it can collect really valuable and deep insights and data points about your viewers or your customers. Because in this case, Tali from Level 1620 is asking me, which products I'm interested in, and she can see about me what I'm interested in, right? Am I interested in the discount or the bags or whatever? But you can imagine a situation where she's asking me deeper questions, like what is my pain point, depending on the product line, right? But like, why am I here? What is my pain point? And you can get really, really deep, just as you would in a store or in a conversation, and really start to identify who the person is in a really deep way, I think, for the first time.
Cool.
So, okay, so that's a little bit of an overview in e-com. I thought it might be interesting to show one other use case that's outside of e-com. This is a little more along the lines of the use cases we started with, which is SaaS. This is G2 using us in their marketing campaigns to also explain kind of more complex information. They have a monthly, quarterly reports that are really, really popular, and they try to encourage people to get prepared for them by collecting reviews and doing all kinds of things. But that's it's a hard sell, and so they turn to Tolstoy to be able to actually pitch individually, like one-to-one, but at scale. So I'll show you just the first snippet.
Hi there, it's Holly here from the G2 team. I want to let you know that your company has a massive opportunity. G2 Spring 2021 reports are right around the corner, and you're just a couple of steps away from ranking on it. Cross the 10 review mark for your applicable category to get ranked on the G2 grid. Then we'll get in touch with you for other requirements, if any. So where do you want to start?
Okay, so now I can kind of choose what I want to do. And the whole idea is that this feels super personal, right? Like I feel like Holly is talking to me because she is, but she had to only record this once, and she can send this out now to 10,000 different people and have the same conversation at the same time without having to have 1,000 Hollies.
Yeah, and I think these are. And I know you have a lot more robust use cases that are in the pipeline that you can't share publicly yet. But when I think about, there's sort of onboarding use cases, there is guided selling use cases. There's certainly HR use cases, I think, and I'm not sure if Yotpo, but someone's using it to have people send in videos of themselves using the technology to sort of talk about themselves and sort of present their resume, as it were, in a video format. But I think about, for example, a merchant who is a power tools merchant. You come to the website and it kicks off saying, hey, what are you looking for today? Is it drills? Is it saws? Is it something else? And then, products and appliances, products that need a lot of education and are thoughtful, perhaps capital purchases that, you really need someone who's an expert to walk you through and help you find the right one for you. And I think, the use case there is just a really cool one. So without my going on tangents too much, so can you talk us through what you're seeing in the market, the sort of folks you're talking to, and how they're looking to leverage Tolstoy? I think part of that also is how deeply can Tolstoy integrate with your tech stack? How granular can you get? Can you, in fact, showcase products in Tolstoy? Can you add them to cart from Tolstoy? What are all the sort of features that you guys work with?
Cool. Okay. So first of all, I think the people we're talking to, so we set out to find kind of in typical B2B SaaS fashion, we set out to find our buyer persona in the beginning, and we did a lot of usability testing and market research. And we launched the product, and we realized that the people coming to us and using us are just, there's no way to classify them, right? We're just solving this thing that solves a lot of different types of pain points. So I'm talking to merchants who have super expensive products that they need. People need the personal touch and the authenticity and the emotional connection to feeling like they spoke to someone before putting down $3,000, $5,000, $10,000 on a product online. And they're coming to us because we provide the authentic kind of connection. But we also have brands who just have complex products, who have had trouble traditionally kind of explaining how to use the product or what it does or how it's different. Or brands who have a ton of different SKUs, right? Tens of thousands of SKUs, and people come to their website and just don't know what to buy and bounce. So they're using us just as basically a new way to navigate and help you navigate just like you would in a guided sell. So lots of different types of use cases. We haven't figured out, like, if is there a sweet spot for this, or is it just a new way to communicate and just like in communication, you can do anything with it, and that's where we're leaning after a lot of kind of soul searching about this, because we tried to shut out that noise, but we realized this is actually the opportunity to build something super horizontal. How deeply it integrates with the tech stack, we try to be as deeply as integrated as possible. So ideally, you would come onto the Tolstoy and actually be able to complete the entire experience in the Tolstoy, right? View the product, maybe read the reviews about it, make a buying decision, add it to the cart. So that you can do, but there's more, right? You can actually take the data that we provide, because ultimately we see ourselves so that it's an engagement platform and a conversion funnel optimization tool, but it's also a data tool. We collect really, really deep data about your customers and your leads that there's just no other way to get besides getting them on the phone or talking to them in person, which is not always possible. And so in those scenarios, we drive a lot of very valuable data that brands can use to segment their customers. So you can place this into whatever CDP you're using, or CRM, or email marketing tool, to create different kind of smart segments with your users based on how they answer or what paths they took.
How were you, and I know you have more to say there on the second part of that question, but what are the options in terms of rendering Tolstoy on site? You know, a couple examples you showed us were sort of the video showcased, and I know 1640 shows on the homepage, but you know, how does it render? Can you do it in sort of like a pop-up modal on, you know, within a PDP or PLP, or, you know, can you talk us through that?
Yeah, sure. So we have a few different. You can place us however you want, and we have companies placing us in different pages and in ways that are surprising to us, and then we then make that kind of out of the box. So one of the ways is, like you said, pop-up modals. You can have like exit intent Tolstoy that's been working really, really well, so that someone's about to leave and you actually have a person coming up and having a conversation, just even in some cases, just asking them why they want to leave, right? So that the brand can learn from that and improve. But also we have a lot of brands placing us as a hovering widget, kind of like a chatbot. So usually not instead of a chatbot, because we don't have chat capabilities or anything like that. But usually on either above or below the chatbot, or on the other side of the page, but also as a floating widget, and also calling your attention to it and having a conversation with you, where the idea is, let's have a face-to-face conversation with every single person who comes to the site, just because we know it increases customer satisfaction and retention and CLTV, and also just conversion rates immediately. So basically, any way you can put it as an iframe, embed it, whatever you want.
And how are you guys engaging with other techs that work sort of in the space of video chat, live chat, chatbot, and how are you sort of working to integrate that onto one experience instead of having to have 15 different modals on your website?
Yeah, so one of the things that some companies are doing are placing us kind of first as the first thing that someone sees, and then building that personal connection, identifying if the person wants to talk to a live rep and do like a live selling session, or they have a chat question, a support question. We can then open up. They can click, this is what I want, or they can type it out or they can say it, and then we'll disappear and open up the chatbot so that it feels like a seamless experience on the viewer side. But we kind of disappear. We feel like we've done our job at that point, and we can come back afterwards if they maybe closed the support session. The store rep can come back in a Tolstoy and say, "Hey, I'm really glad. Like, I hope that we answered your question. Do you have any other questions for us, or do you want me to show you X, Y, or Z, or do you want me to take you here?" Just the same exact thing that would happen in a physical store.
Cool. And maybe it's too early to have any data on this, but I'm curious sort of what your thoughts are on how this capability will help merchants and help businesses be more efficient with their call centers. Do you see this helping reduce call center volume and eliminating the things that early on, things like FAQ pages helped reduce? This will go the next step.
Yeah, so that's a good question, and you're right. It is early. We don't know. People are still discovering new ways to use Tolstoy that we didn't even think about. So we don't honestly know. We did recently release the ability to respond, so viewers can respond with video. So in the case of like Macari, in the video quiz, I clicked on what my issues were, but if Macari wants to give me a super personalized experience, they need to actually see my face, right? Or hear me talk a little bit more about my pain point. And so now with the video response, that's possible. Instead of having a total quiz, Macari could just say, "Hey, I'd love to give you a personal recommendation, but like a super personal recommendation. Can you take a quick video of what you're interested in, or your face, or whatever you want to show me, and I'll respond back with a hyper personalized recommendation, not just like a not personalized but hyper personalized." So that, I think, as we get deeper and deeper into that, and we enable more interactivity and more types of engagement, by the time people actually get to talk to the brand, they'll already be much farther down the funnel, and that will cut down support time.
Interesting. I think, putting your Yotpo hat on, and JD is watching and listening and dropped a comment and saying hi.
Hey, JD.
It's always a challenge as a brand to drive UGC, right? To send those ratings and reviews emails saying, "Hey, come back and tell us what you thought of the product," or "Hey, send us a picture. We'd love to showcase you all across our social." This feels like a tool that could help enable that, right? Ignoring an email versus sort of saying no to a person who's actually talking to you, even though it's on video. It could also be a great resource for brands to source that UGC content. Send us a video, and we might showcase it on our Instagram or anything along those lines.
Interesting. Yeah, that's something we hadn't thought of. I think potentially we could definitely drive people to like a Yotpo. I would definitely never do anything to.
No, to drive, not to compete.
But totally, I could see us driving people to write a review. Usually, people are using us. At least now, they're using us more at the top of the funnel to drive the conversions, and less like post purchase. But potentially, like, you could send a Tolstoy out post purchase as well, and drive someone to a Yotpo to write a review, or sign someone up to a loyalty program or to the SMS program, for sure. Yeah, we definitely want to enable. We want to drive more engagement across, like, more conversions and engagement across the funnel, right? So if it's to drive more purchases, great. If it's to drive more reviews, to drive more signups, whatever it is, we're happy to facilitate.
Cool. Really appreciate that overview. So switching gears a little bit in our last few minutes here, could we talk a little bit about Tolstoy as a company, right? You joined back in, was it August last year or June, July? When was it?
Tolstoy?
Yeah.
So Nimrod and I, we started, we're both, it's like, we're very much still like Yotpo. The whole company is like, well, we talk about Yotpo all the time. Yotpo is a huge client of ours, and half the company is from Yotpo. So my co-founder and I are both Yotpo employees. We started on the same day, and we finished about the same day.
Oh, wow.
And so we started it, I think, in late July.
Okay.
I was doing a master's, so I was still working at Yotpo, but also doing a master's in creative writing at UT Austin. And we decided to kind of go for it. I had a decision to make about what to do next. Kind of come back full time or launch something I decided to launch. That was, I think, end of July, and moved back to Israel, built up a team, got the initial funding, and then closed a financing round and built up a team. It's very, very still Yotpo feel.
What are the what have the biggest challenges been in starting new, both personally and certainly professionally, sort of trying to build a business from the ground up?
That's a good question. One of the challenges is just having time for a personal life, which I don't have. So moving back to Israel has been a challenge. Like finding an apartment, doing all the other stuff has been a challenge. In terms of building a company, I think doing a lot of different things at the same time was probably a challenge. And then you have challenges kind of every day. In the beginning, it was getting to know Nimrod, my co-founder, as a partner. And building a relationship. It's like any relationship. And then as you grow, you have more and more relationships to kind of maintain and build and strengthen. So that I would say it's been like a good challenge in the sense that I feel like we're all kind of growing from it. And then, just growing a business is like, it's definitely everything is a challenge. It's like a constant struggle. I think maybe the biggest challenge is emotionally kind of feeling, especially in the early days, was feeling that every day could kind of like, is this going to give value? Are we going to be able to raise money? Are we going to be able to do this? And just having to kind of take that on, that was a challenge to kind of deal just emotionally. But as you kind of go through it and you see, oh, this is actually providing a lot of value. Oh, we actually raised money. It makes you feel a little bit safer every time. A lot of challenges, definitely every day.
So how did you early on, you and your business partner were like, hey, we have this idea. We think that there is a space for interactive video in the market. How did you go about vetting that? What steps did you take to research that before deciding to take the plunge and investing yourself, your time, your finances, and getting funding for it?
So the first thing I did was try to map out. So we thought in the beginning, our idea was interactive video sales for SaaS businesses. I believe that almost every SaaS product, the kind of the SMB to mid-market SaaS products that are product-focused sales and not like enterprise sales. So when you're an SMB to mid-market company selling to SMB to mid-market companies, a product that mostly sells itself once the person on the other side understands it, but there's some complexity to the product. Something like a Yotpo. I have this belief that all these companies, it's the same exact sale process, right? So the process is always the same. You have a qualification call and then a demo, and the external process is the same, but I believe the internal process is the same too. It's exactly the same sale. You just have to ask the right questions and then give the right information. As a result, identify what path you should take a person down and sell to them. And so the idea was to automate that. The idea was to automate that in order to make the experience for people buying SaaS software a lot more fun. Because I personally don't like having to get on a demo that ends up being a qualification call with a 20-year-old SDR who I feel knows less than I do about the industry. Just the whole process feels very antiquated.
Yep.
So we built Tolstoy to automate that process. And so the first thing we did was build out a script for Yotpo and see, is this possible? Is it possible to turn something as complex as a sale into a structured, organized, interactive video script? That actually took a lot longer than expected. The first time, to wrap our head around how do you go about thinking about it. It ended up being a much harder problem than we expected. And because you start to get into kind of complicated areas and figuring out how to write the script and doing all that kind of stuff. That took the longest. Once we cracked that and we realized, oh, actually, we just need to make it super simple, and you don't make it a replication. You don't replicate a real conversation. You kind of make simpler paths and you keep it structured but organized. Once we did that, things started to move a little faster. And the market validation we did was I actually recorded the script that we did, and I showed it to Yotpo. and I convinced, I think it may have been JD, to let me try it out, and we saw it worked. They're still using it today on 100% of their inbound leads for the partners. So anytime a partner signs up for a demo of Yotpo, they get sent to Tolstoy, and we handle that initial conversation, and it converts more demos and more partners than a real person does. Yeah, the other market validation was reaching out on LinkedIn. That is the number one sales hack. LinkedIn, reaching out to kind of top people in your network and getting them on a call, catching up and hearing their insights. It was just invaluable. Cool.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I'm sure it was challenging and had its frustrations, but certainly working through all those pieces was probably very rewarding. What's on the roadmap for you guys? What are you looking at for growth? What are you looking at for international expansion, both in I imagine you guys can service merchants globally, but where are you guys at boots on the ground now, and where you're looking to grow into?
Cool. So boots on the ground currently in Tel Aviv in Israel, but boots who are willing to work any hours. So we're super US focused in terms of the brands that we want to work with. So North America focused. For growth, we have a few kind of levers that we're considering. One of them is just the product. Every time a new brand launches, other brands see it, interact with it because it's such a front-facing experience, and then they think it's cool, and we get kind of new users and new customers. But another one is like the app stores, so Shopify, all basically doing a lot of the things that I saw working while working at Yotpo. Building like partnerships. I think we work with a few clients with Overdose. It's been amazing, and I think agencies in general is a really, really strong play for us. I think there's a lot of value for agencies also in managing this process and building the content and managing and optimizing the data and the analytics. And then hopefully conferences, my guilty pleasure. I want to get back to the circuit.
It's funny, as much as all of us who are on that circuit, at some point during a standard year go, oh man, Vegas again, like enough Vegas. I think we're all at the point where we're like, I can't wait to get on a plane again. I want 5 connections because I want to overload on the experience of traveling again. So someone actually popped in, and unfortunately I can't see who they are because I might have the lowest level of access in LinkedIn. But they gave a 3-star, and they said, we ran a super successful campaign using Tolstoy, but I just see LinkedIn users. So if you're willing to jump in and identify sort of what brand you're with, and sort of what you did there, that could be cool. So apologies for that. All right, I think, anything else that, on your mind that you want to share? I know we're sort of up against the 40-minute mark, which is what I usually target for this, but, Tolstoy is just super, super cool. So happy to chat a bit more if you got something else you want to share.
No, awesome. It's fun to chat. This is the first type of experience like this that I've ever done. So it's cool. I've listened to a lot of these, but I haven't actually done one. So first of all, thank you for inviting me. It's awesome and an honor. And
absolutely glad to hear it. I think I normally do these later in the afternoon. I have a drink in my hand, so 11 a.m. is a bit early for me. So I didn't drink today. But yeah, I think I'm glad you found value, and I think having these just conversations, unscripted, no questions that are preset, it just makes it more organic and a bit more enjoyable, frankly, for me and hopefully for you as well.
Yeah, it's awesome. So thank you, and keep it up.
Cool. Thanks so much for joining, Dov. Have a great evening, a great Purim. We'll absolutely be chatting over the coming weeks. We absolutely have some clients that we're working with you on, so really excited to see how those Tolstoys turn out. If anyone has any questions, by all means, drop me or Dov an email. I'm Andrew at overdose.digital. Dov is dov@tolstoy.com.
Unfortunately, gotolstoy.com.
Oh, sorry. Gotolstoy.com. The website is gotolstoy.com. So yeah, absolutely reach out. Happy to have conversations around how Tolstoy can benefit you and your business. So thanks again, Dov, and have a great day and chat soon.
Bye. Thank you.